Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And today I came in to talk about the Tyre Nichols case and the aftermath of it. Now, from on the outset, I want to say that I could not watch the video. At this point, y'all, it's been so many of these cases that I have a bit of PTSD. I have a 35-year-old son, and every time that I see one of these cases, it does something to me inside. So I actually decided not to watch it. However, just viewing, newscasts about it and reading about it, I was able to catch a few scenes from it, what actually went down. Now, what made me want to do this video today is because I was on a comment thread and there was a comment made that this is even worse what happened to Tyre because it was done by his own people. And on the one hand, I do feel that it is worse. But on the other, this is a culture within the police that's not just black officers. No, I do believe that the reason why these black officers were immediately, fired, reprimanded, and it all got going, in a direction where they're now in jail is because they are black. Now, I just feel that way. I try to think about this in the way if this had been 5 white officers and, what would have been said. I can't help but to feel things may have been a little different. Now, honestly, I feel this way because of what I've seen over the years, what I've experienced just being on this earth 58 years, So I can't unsee or unfeel what I've experienced. Now, when I think about what happened to him, just like a lot of people said, those officers were very comfortable doing what they did. There was no hesitation, which leads me to believe that they've done this before. They all cloaked for each other in the past, fabricated information to bolster what they were doing to people. And we saw and heard that in the video. Now, the one thing that really gets me about this as the mother of an African American son is at what point did they remember that he was a human being? Their anger and wolf dog pack mentality was just over the top. Kicking, punching, beating. It was like they forgot that he was a human being and that he had not done anything to them personally, And that is the part that makes us as a community fear police, whether they are white or black. Because just the fact of the color of our skin, we are most of the times considered a suspect, suspicious, mistrusted. They want to know why we are where we are. This is how we live. A lot of us have had experiences with the police, negative experiences, or we know someone who has, So when you see things like this happen, it hits us in a totally different way, because we will remember the last time that we had an experience with the police and why we're nervous. You know, I even saw people ask, well, why do they run? Why don't they just comply? And my only answer to that is, from the time that I can remember being spoken to about the police, you know, as a minority, a young African American girl, I have always been taught that they will hurt you. You know, you could be in the right, they will, you know, hurt you first and ask questions later. And then they can be in the wrong and they'll cover it up and get away with it. That's what we're taught. When we become parents ourselves and we are speaking to our own children, from very early age, we will tell them you have to be careful. Because you could be innocent and be somewhere and, you know, they pull you over and fear for their life, or you move in a direction and they fear and they will shoot you, they will kill you, they will beat you. We know this. We all have been taught this. So my answer to why they run is because they're scared. They're afraid. What they have been told all while they grew up is now happening to them. You know? And we have to teach them to fear the police, to keep them off the radar of the police. You know, I've even heard some people say, well, why do you teach them to fear the police? Because of situations just like this. We want to warn them of what could happen. We want to warn them to be careful. We want to warn them that when you are pulled over, you know, what you should do to try to stay alive. It is so sad to be a parent and you have, and I'm just going to use my own situation. You have a son that is 13, 14, 15. He's not even really started venturing out the neighborhood yet, you know, without you giving him a ride, dropping him off at his buddy's house or taking him to the mall. And you have to sit down and have this conversation with a 13 or 14-year-old. And you tell him, son, when you're out there in the world, you are not my son. You are simply known as young black male. You know, when you encounter the police, you do this, you do that. You yes sir, no officer, yes officer. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't make any sudden moves. Blah, blah, blah. I can remember having this conversation with my son when he was about 13 or 14. He listened intently. And then when I got done, he said, why would they want to hurt me if I didn't do anything? Once they check and see that I'm a good guy, you know, it'll clear everything up. And I looked at him and I realized that he was innocent, you know, in his beliefs. Innocent. Like he could not understand what would make them want to hurt him. And what I had to tell him is, son, by the time they check your record and see that you've never been in trouble, you don't have any criminal background, you've never been in jail, you could be dead. And then after you die, they will say, oh, well, when we checked, he didn't have a background. You know, they will say they thought you had a gun. But after you're dead, they realize that you really didn't. But the bottom line is, you're dead now. Everything is after the fact. When I watched Tyre Nichols' mother speak, my heart went out to her. I don't know how these folks who have lost their children in this way even have the strength to go on television and do an interview and even to make sense when they're doing the interview. It angers me that they press these people in their moment of mourning, their moment of pain, to even do these interviews. Now, I know they do it because, the public wants to know, what the parents are thinking, feeling, and all of that, but it just seems so terrible, And when I was watching Tyre's mother, I put myself in her place. Her son was a little bit younger than mine. And I know, y'all, that I could not be on television talking. I know that I would not be in any shape, form, or fashion able to string together two cohesive sentences, knowing what was done to my child, knowing what I saw when I went to the hospital, my child laying there, beat, like his mom said, to a pulp. I would not stand up under them asking me to explain to them what type of person he was. It is sad that Tyre's mother had to say, a lot of parents, when this happens, they'll say, my son was a good son, and sometimes they're not, they have troubled backgrounds. But in her case, her particular case, her son was a good kid. It's sad that she even had to say that. Because no matter what we say, we could have a son that has never been in trouble, doesn't have a criminal record, is a good part of society. He's doing his thing. He's going to work every day, and he's being a productive person in society. But the fact that we have to explain that he's not, of a criminal element, or he has a criminal background, that's annoying to me. So I wouldn't be able to do it. I would be that parent that was pissed because I had to explain. So that's why it would not pay for me to be on television if something like this happened to my son. Because I would be pissed that I had to humanize him for the world. I would be pissed. I sit here and I think about that the majority of the young black youth or youth of color, they are decent. Now, just like any other race, we have bad criminal element in our race, but that's just like any other race. But because of stereotypes and racist thoughts about us and racial bias, they truly believe, some folks, that all of us are criminals. All of us grew up in the hood. All of us got hood mentality. And that's just not the case. So when we get on television in situations like this, we're having to explain as parents that no, he wasn't a criminal. No, he didn't have a record. Yes, he has a job. Blah, blah, blah. And that's why I have PTSD. I'm tired of this happening. I think back to Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was 12 years old. And his mother had to do the same thing. He was 12. What grade are you in it when you're 12? 6th? 7th? You're in the 6th or 7th grade. But she had to explain too. He was automatically seen at 12 years old as a criminal, a gangbanger, or whatever. That he was a hood kid. My thing is, this mythical hood that they always put us in, where is it? And how big is that hood? Because if we all came from it, it's got to be humongous. Y'all, Sadly, we know that this won't be the last time. It won't be the last time. As far as those officers that did this to Tyre, you know what, y'all? I don't even know what to think. We all know what we want to happen to them. I believe in an eye for an eye. What they did to him, what they took from him, should be taken from them. This was a young man going about his business who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time with these criminal police officers. At one point, and this is one of the clips or snippets that I saw of what they did to him. One of the officers had kicked and beat him so severely that the officer was limping away. Who raised them? At any point did either of them say, hey, you know what? I cannot be a part of this. This is bad. This is crazy. What are y'all doing? But there's this culture in the police department, be it black or white officers, where they protect each other. They will lie for each other, cover for each other. Even to the fact that Tyre's mother said that they came to her house and gave her this big lie. What was it, that he was in an accident or something? They were covering themselves. Even to the stuff that you heard on the tape. This is really sad. And I believe that these black officers felt comfortable doing what they did because they have watched these white officers do it and get away with it. It's that culture within the police. So when someone said it's worse because they're black officers, no, it's not. Not to me. I tried to think about it. I guess the fact that, they were the same skin color as him, but the bottom line is, whether they're black or white, the fact that they thought that they could do that and get away with it, that's what's more important to me. Not the color of their skin. The fact that they thought that they could beat that boy like that, take him to the hospital, and that they would be able to get their stories, matching up, and that they believed that they were going to get away with it. Y'all, this is the country we live in. When you pull back the cover and expose all the ills that America has, they have no room. We have no room to be telling another country what they should and should not do to their citizens, when look at what we got going on over here. Look what we got. These people who did this to Tyre, their job was to serve and protect him. They were part of an elite group that was supposed to be stamping out crime and drugs and gangs and whatever else their responsibilities were. But they became a gang themselves. What we witnessed was a gangbang against Tyre. And to beat someone to death? He wasn't shot. He wasn't stabbed. They beat him to death. This young man was crying out for his mother, who was just 80 feet away. His mother has to live with that thought for the rest of her life, that at her son's moment that he needed her most, that she couldn't be there for him, and that he called for her Do you know the pain that that mother is feeling? I mean, when they're inside our bodies, they are connected to us. We know they're there before the father or even a doctor tells us. Our bodies start to change to accommodate that baby growing inside of us. God connects them to us. We eat for them. We rest for them as their mothers while we're carrying them. So when I think about Tyre's mother, I think about her thinking about the 9 months that she carried him. What it felt like to have him move inside of her. I know she's thinking about the delivery of him. The first time she either nursed or fed him. His first step, his first word, when he first went to, all of this is going through her head. When he first went to school, his life has flashed before her eyes. She's thought about every moment. And then, I'm going to say this and I'm going to end it. It really broke me down when she said he really loved her. You know? Like he's a mama's boy. A lot of people say that about my son too. That they jokingly tell him, "Oh, you're a mama's boy," because he loves me so much. You know? So I didn't watch the video because I'm the mother of a mama's boy. And to think the thought of someone doing something like that to him, y'all, it literally makes me physically ill. Like, I know that if I had watched that video, I probably would have been vomiting all over everywhere. Because it literally makes me ill what they did to him. I'm pretty sure that by them being black officers, they're going to get every year, everything that's coming to them. Oh, they will be held accountable for what they did. Trust and believe. We will not have to worry that they're going to get like 10 years like the officer that killed Botham Jean, you know, the one that said she was in the wrong apartment and she thought he was breaking in and she shot and killed him. You know, I think she only got 10, 11 years. It won't be like that. Trust and believe. So, y'all, the only thing we can do now is wait and watch and see what happens to them. But we know while we're waiting and watching, there will be another one and another one and another one. It's never going to end. It's sad to even feel that way, but we know as a certainty that it's never going to end. I am 58. My mother is in her late 70s. You know, my grandma, if she had been alive, was almost near 100. Each one of our generations have witnessed this, have experienced this. And generations before my grandma. So, if it changes, I don't see it changing in my lifetime. Hopefully, maybe in my grandkids' lifetime, because my kids are alive and it's not changing in their lifetime. So hopefully, when I finally do have some grandkids, maybe it'll change in their lifetime. I don't see it. I just pray it. And with that, y'all, give me your opinions on what you think is going to happen, what you think of what you've seen so far. And only thing I can say is be careful out there. Watch your back. Just be careful. Because nothing changed but the date. That's all I got to say. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.